Hello, insane children.
It's different, but hi.
I am American McGee.
I'm Martin.
And we are coming you. Yeah, it's going to be one of those days. We are coming to you from the underground lair. And yeah, things have changed a little bit. You are now seeing the actual lair itself in the underground.
Ooh.
This is sort of where the magic happens. You can see behind, that's actually my office where I sit and work. And then in front of that is like where we play games. And then in front of that is some photo studio stuff. And then now we've got our video studio set up back here. Anyway.
It's different, but it's good. I like it. I hope you guys like it.
There's a lot of different stuff going on. Not only in the month that we've been away did we revive or reset up our studio down here in the underground lair, but we also welcomed into the world the littlest insane child. You got to go upstairs and see him this morning.
I did. He's sleeping. Lazy so-and-so.
Yeah, he was sleeping. He does sleep a lot. But yeah, this is now the 24th day of his existence in the world outside his mom's womb. And so yeah, the last couple weeks, I've been on a kind of paternity leave, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm, I believe so.
And that is involved kind of helping him make his transition into this crazy world. We've got Yen here, her mom is here. There's a kind of like baby care lady who's been here that is supposed to help Yen with like boob stuff and making milk, and I don't know. But that's where we've been, and now we're back. And what are we doing today?
I don't know. I'm just wondering about helping with boob stuff. Mm-hmm. Helping? Mm-hmm. Anyway, what are we doing today? Lots of art.
There's a ton of art.
A lot of art.
While we've been gone, what have you been doing during this break? Do you go off to like a Font Lord castle and rearrange all your fonts?
Go to Font Manor.
Okay.
If anyone's been messing with the fonts, I put them back in alphabetical order. Okay. Watch some TV.
Well, our artists and the rest of our team have not been resting, sleeping like a baby. They've actually been busy at work. So today we do have a tremendous amount of artwork related to Asylum that we're going to go through, try to catch up. I don't think we're going to have time. It would probably be sort of 2 live streams of work to catch up on all that.
For all the art?
It's a lot of art.
We'll see.
Are there going to be prizes today?
There's always prizes.
What are we giving away as prizes, Font Lord?
I think you said we were giving away Cheshire Kittens, didn't you?
I did say that. But it's kind of a weirdness, though, because the way this is going to work is we've got these Cheshire Kittens and these rabbits that the factory made for us, but they actually had a few left over. I think of the kittens, they had like 25 left over. When I say left over, I mean that they had the kittens, but not the bags to put them in. So we ended up with kittens minus bag.
Is that because they made more kittens or they made less bags?
I don't know. But one way or another, we've got a bunch of loose kittens, stray kittens we'll call them. And those stray kittens need a home. So today we'll be giving away prizes that are kittens. But they'll be kittens without all the accoutrements.
All right.
Free-range kittens.
Standalone kitties.
Yes. Let's just do a quick shout-out. I do see a lot of our regulars have come back to the live stream. They've not forgotten about us. I see Lucas Severin was in the chat earlier throwing out math problems.
All right.
Greg was there with his junk.
Motorcycle Girl. Luna Leon.
Mm-hmm.
Who else we got?
Wendy.
Wendy J's here.
Good to see you again, Wendy.
Virgil.
And Magus is there.
Magus is there.
Magus sent a very nice card to me and Yen to congratulate us on the arrival of Lucky. That is the child's name, by the way.
Lucky Jack McGee.
Lucky Jack. Just like a pirate. He's going to hate me. He's going to be like, Dad, why? Boy. But yeah, so Lucky, thank you. Not Lucky. Magus, thank you for the card. Yen and I appreciate that very much. We do have some of the sweetest insane children in the world. Of course, sweet insane children doesn't have quite the stabbiness to it.
Doesn't.
And of course, there's Ray.
Felipe, Ancient Child. Loads of them. Loads of them have come back after the break.
This is true. And thank you very much, Ray, for that super chat. First tip of the night. Congrats, Daddy, says Ray. So thank you very much for that, Ray. Very much appreciated. Yeah, it's all a happy, healthy family around here these days. You know what's fun about this setup is you can actually see Lulu right there. I can't. Come on, finger. There she is. Treats? Cat. Lulu. Where's Cat? Nah, she's not.
Cat.
You know, I have a tool for this. It works really well. What's going on? Yeah, come here. Yeah, she doesn't want to. But anyway, now we have a kind of Lulu vision back there. We can see her playing with her toys. All right, let's get into art review. There is a ton of art to get through. As I said, oh, there's some Lulu too. Look how cute and majestic she is. Oh, baby pictures, dog pictures. Come on. There's the studio. All right. I guess we go ahead and start off with this since it was the first thing that we landed on. It wasn't on purpose, but I did want to talk about this. This is the makeup stuff that my wife, Yen, is working on. And we have been sharing this on Instagram and on the Mysterious page over on Facebook. Now, I'm a bit hesitant. I think I want to share this stuff on the live streams. I've been a bit hesitant sharing it over on Patreon because I don't want people to kind of feel like it's mixed up, that somehow Patreon is supporting the creation of a makeup brand. And the reason is I've actually seen places where people have kind of pushed back like, hey, I didn't come to Patreon to pay for you guys to make a makeup brand. And I agree with that. That's exactly right, which is why, this is a Mysterious product. Mysterious is a shop we've run online since 2015, which is long before we had Patreon ever set up. And Mysterious on its own is quite successful. And now Yen will be transitioning to be a full-time employee of Mysterious. And she's working full-time on projects of her own there, which includes the makeup stuff. I have a question. Do our patrons want updates on this stuff, or what do you think?
I think most of them will be fine with it.
Right.
I don't see them being upset or anything like that, grumbling about seeing this side project-ish thing.
It's kind of strange because I know that I see a lot of other Patreon creators who will separate out posts that are for patrons only, and I guess that means they're somehow paid for by patrons, and then they'll have public posts. But the thing is, with our Patreon, we actually set all of our posts to early access, which means that even if you aren't a patron, you can still eventually get access to the content of the posts, which makes me wonder, I don't know. I bring this up, though, because I noticed that we have a Russian audience, and one of our Russian viewers, Alex Nemo, I think is the name you're probably familiar with. He or she may even be in the chat. But they post up the content that we're creating over on VK, which is like the Russian Facebook. And they wrote in a recent post about the makeup stuff a caveat, which I found quite interesting. And it basically said something along the lines of, if you don't like that American is creating other merchandise type stuff, don't bitch about it here. Right. In other words, it seems that there are people who are complaining, and maybe they're understanding that Patreon funds the team working on Alice Asylum, but that Mysterious is a separate business from that, although there are bits where it crosses over.
There are.
So I can understand it's a little confusing. Anyway, I'm curious to hear from the audience. Do you care? Should we share makeup stuff on Patreon? Should we not? I mean, we have enough channels. I guess the other question is, do our patrons want some sort of a special patron sale price thing like we've done with some of our other physical goods, or if we do that, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, like I say, my personal opinion is it would be fine, but looking at the chat now, it seems that most people here also think it's fine. I did see one that didn't seem overly keen. I forget who that might have been, or if I even misunderstood what they were writing. There it is. Asteria Visual says, I don't need it. Is that a reference to not needing to see makeup stuff on Patreon? Maybe. I don't know. But it seems most other people are okay with it.
Okay. I am seeing a couple people saying that there's an echo, and that's not good. We don't want an echo. I'm a little bit concerned that the echo is actually being caused by a filter that we turned on for noise suppression. So I'm going to turn that noise suppression filter off right now. So from this point forward, if you can tell us if the echo vanishes from now, then we'll know that that was the noise suppression filter.
Okay.
Anyway, so do let us know in the comments, to make up or not to make up. Do you want it shared on Patreon? Does it bother you? But, whatever.
Maybe a separate Patreon page. Don't think Patreon works like that.
It doesn't work like that. Ray says, set up a separate Patreon. So per person, you can have one, and you have to kind of associate that with your personal ID and your bank account and all this stuff. So I suppose if Yin set up her own personal Patreon page, but again, that kind of confuses the issue. Patreon isn't funding the production of products that are specific to Mysterious. So therefore, she's not really looking for Patreon support. Although
yes.
I suppose she could, but we hadn't really, anyway. So it seems I fixed the echo by turning off the filter.
Go figure, but now can they hear the aircon?
Who knows?
Who knows?
All right, so art review. Now that we're done talking about Mysterious and makeup. By the way, there's a ton of other content to share on that topic, but I'm kind of curious, do we need another live stream where just Yen does the makeup live stream? Maybe.
That one seemed pretty popular the last time it happened.
That seemed very popular.
I think people would very much like seeing Yen live on stream again.
Right. Well, just let us know. Comments and whatnot.
Echo back. What?
The echo is on American. Martin is fine.
Stop echoing, American.
Man, I tell you. There's times where I just want to give up on the whole sound stuff. I don't know. I turned the filter off. I don't know what to do. We're not going to try to diagnose this in the middle of the live stream, I think. We've got way too much stuff to get through. I honestly don't know where to fix this. Art review. So this is Alice in the realm of the Queen of Hearts. And if you've been following along over on Patreon, you have seen that we're actually making a pretty interesting journey through her realm after Alice leaves the area known as Denial. She will then go into this realm, and the Denial stage is actually represented as a circus, and it's run by Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So if you've been following along, you've seen all the artwork for that. When we are looking at the Queen's domain, it's representative of, they're saying there's no echo when you switch to another tab.
That's weird. I guess the audio settings are not global?
I don't know. But I'm turning down audio on desktop audio and microphones here. So is it just on the art tab? Who knows? So anyway, this is going to be a concept where underneath the Queen's castle, to represent the concept of anger, which is what her realm is all about, we actually have this idea that Omri came up with, that she has harnessed the sun. So you can see here, the sun is actually tied up in chains, and Alice is peering over the edge here. Now, my thought is, she's using this as a sort of reactor to create an army.
Right.
And then that army is then what she's using to go out. And I guess in her mind, she thinks she's going to repair Wonderland, or she's going to take over Wonderland from the forces that are destroying it. Because, in her mind, I don't think she wants to destroy Wonderland, but she wants to control it, and she wants to make it in her way, in her vision, right?
Yeah.
So this is how she's powering all of that. Now, the sun is supposed to be, I think, on the opposite side of chaos. It is the sort of it encapsulates the concept of order because it's masculine, whereas the moon is on the side of chaos. So the idea that the queen has captured order and is using that to power, and to be a part of anger, I think is a kind of a bundle of themes that we're going to want to explore as we work on the story for the game in general.
I like, the whole using like a chained up sun as a power source. Reminds me of a couple of things from TV. You saw it more recently than I did, so I can't quite remember, but in Discovery, is the Terran Empire's flagship not powered by some kind of captured sun?
They've captured a mycelium network ball of some sort, and they're using that to power the evil, what's her name? Captain Jeannot. I can't remember her name.
Bad one?
Yeah. Empress. So they do use that to power their little starship.
And I definitely remember the TARDIS is being powered by a star going supernova that's frozen in time or something, which is quite cool.
Who knew?
So, I like this idea.
I do too. And this is the representation of that. This is kind of riffing off of the idea that a lot of the areas in the new game are going to be kind of Escher inspired. That is, we'll mix up the concepts of up and down, left and right. We'll have geometry that sort of bends your mind as you try to navigate it. So this is what Omri's working on. I believe these black smudges are going to be representative of card guards at some point. Right. And in fact, they're going to be a new kind of card guard we'll show you in just a moment here. But what's happened is that you can see the level geometry is sort of this Escher maze type. What is up, what is down, and as you move through the scene from top to bottom, the whole thing actually flips upside down. Yeah,
I was trying to make heads or tails of this picture when I was looking at it. So I guess it kind of succeeded in being Escher-esque. Yeah. So I was kind of like, is this down? What's happening? Where's stuff?
Well, if you go back to some of our previous posts on Patreon, and I think we showed off some of it here on YouTube as well, we were talking about the concept of non-Euclidean geometry, which is that the universe we live in, we have expectations built on a geometry that behaves in a certain fashion. As perspective, it goes off into the distance and things get further in the distance. We can kind of judge distances, we can judge angles, but if you were to screw those things up, you could end up with a hallway that, as in the example we showed, appears to be much longer on the outside than it is on the inside, or that as you traverse through it, one end is one scale, and as you move through it, it changes you to a different scale or perspective on the environment. So in other words, the tunnel could shrink you down as you move it. So that is going to be something that we're going to try to experiment with and play with inside the engine itself, and it's something that I've always thought would be fantastic for an Alice game. It's obvious that an Alice game should have a kind of reality that can be messed with constantly.
Yeah, makes sense.
We've never really been in a position technically to pull that sort of stuff off. I think now with modern engines and technology, we probably are in a better position to do that.
Yeah. We missed a super chat, did we not?
There you go.
We did. Lucas Severin, thank you very much for the super chat. It's good to be back. And then gives us some number sort of puzzle and Morse code.
Yeah, he's doing numbers as replacements for letters, and then he's doing some Morse code. I don't know what's gotten into Lucas. I think he was doing this during the crowd design session on Discord the other day as well.
It probably says something terrible.
I don't know.
Get bent.
Oh. I really don't know, but I don't think it's something we're going to try to interpret right now.
Let's not do it right now.
No, let's not.
But it was on screen long enough for other people to try.
This is true. Let's just hope that it doesn't, say something that gets us kicked off of YouTube or gets us in trouble, So yeah, that is much appreciated, Lucas. At least the super chat. I don't know about your secret message there. Alrighty. So we have continuing art review. Now this is a character, this is Alice's representation of the character she knows from London, that we know from London, that is Pris Witless. But in the denial realm, which is, again, it's represented as a circus, she's taken the form of a tarot card reader, a fortune teller with a crystal ball. Have you ever had your tarot cards read?
I have not. Yeah, I don't remember ever doing tarot or a crystal ball at like a fun fair or whatever.
Well, we are setting this up as something that Alice will be able to access. Now, I was saying to Omri and the design team that I actually think that kind of like a TARDIS in concept, or remember Felix the cat who had the magic bag?
Yes.
And could keep things in there that were maybe, of a size that didn't make sense for the bag. Anyway, I was thinking perhaps that Alice carries these locations around. Like, we may encounter this for the first time in the circus realm, and she'll pick up her tarot cards because she's going to use tarot cards as weapons, and she may get a lay of the land in terms of a fortune being told, and the fortune would then kind of lay out for us the mission ahead for the entire game of Asylum. This is what I've been thinking about. So we would have Pris. Now she's called, what did we call her? Priscilla?
Oh, on the circus print?
Yeah.
The poster?
Madam Priscilla. She's referred to as Madam Priscilla.
Right.
So she, I think, is going to be a kind of constant oracle for Alice to return to. But for sure, at the beginning, she's going to set out what is sort of the future. And she's going to give Alice a sense that, like, this is what the cards have in store for you. And maybe there'll be some kind of ominous, you can't change fate and you can't escape from what lies ahead. And of course we will, right? I mean, there's going to have to be it's all horrible, it's all bad. There's things you don't know. There's things you'll never know, and you'll never escape your fate. And then, of course, at the end of the game, I think we will escape our fate. So that is what this is. And again, I think the idea that Alice would actually be able to carry this around in her pocket, and perhaps even carry around, bottle up is the phrase I want to use, bottle up the emotions or the concepts or the places that she's now would have overcome or would have experienced. I really like that idea. So you can imagine this little girl of 12, 13 years old, who, as she moves through this wonderland trying to confront all of the aspects of her PTSD, when she conquers something, she bottles it up and sticks it in her pocket. And then there will be times where she needs to fast travel back to an area, or she needs to quickly access the oracle in order to maybe upgrade her tarot cards or to learn some new information about something in the world. And she'll just pull the bottle out of her pocket and poof.
Well, we've got a bunch of comments about that. We'll get to them later, but people seem to be quite on board with the idea that Alice carries the locations around with her somehow.
Yeah, I think that's a fun idea. We also, with that, we talked a little bit about the idea that in Alice Madness Returns, you actually collect bottles, and inside the bottles there are the memories. And you can see that is sort of referenced here in her globe, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things we're working on is this idea that young Alice in Asylum goes around doing the bottling, and that sets up the mechanic that you see in Madness Returns. In fact, one of our insane children during the last crowd design session brought up an even more, or kind of a fun extension to that, which is that, the chalk that you see written on the walls whenever you do shrink vision in Madness Returns, what if we make it so that also has an origin in little, young Alice running around Wonderland and marking those things up?
I remember that. That was a good idea.
That is a very good idea.
I like it.
That's one of the reasons I like our crowd design so much. We come up, our insane children come up with some pretty fun concepts.
Before we move on, just looking at that picture again, is that the surprise guest poster that's up on her wall on the left there?
There's all kinds of call-outs here, but yes.
I saw the Wonderland. Oh, no, it's actually the Pris poster.
She has her own poster on the wall there.
How vain.
And I think I saw there's a couple of other little call-outs that she's got here. But yeah, there's her Madam Priscilla. She's got moon charms. Plate? So no, but these, remember we were talking about having candies as a power-up in the game. So I think that's a reference to that. Of course, these bottles could be a reference to Alice's bottling mechanic. So yeah, there's a couple of cute little things hidden in the details there. Our artists are very good at that. What does this Latin read and say? Parapalocus. We'll have to have one of our insane children
It's a spell.
that.
It's a Harry Potter spell. He's snuck into it.
It's just devil worship stuff. Probably one of our insane children can do a quick interpretation of that from Latin to English and tell us what that says. Omri better hope that it's not Latin cursing.
Ice Killer Super Chats. Thank you very much. In Final Fantasy XIV, there's a dungeon where everything is upside down, as that is the only way to enter a tower. That's part of the story. Is 14 the online one? I think it is.
I think I've mentioned before, I've never been able to get into those games. I've tried. I've sat down with them. I've tried. And then almost immediately I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this fight mechanic was like this sort of you pre-load the sequence and then it, whatever.
They keep switching up the fight mechanic. I'm not a fan of them going the more sort of action-oriented one. I did actually much prefer the olden days of like setting up your spells and stuff in advance. But...
Oh, see, I didn't like that. Oh, well, there you go.
You probably play the new one though when that comes out. Now you've got a PS4.
It looks ace. Could. Do I get to ride a motorcycle and kill zombies though?
Maybe the motorcycle bit. Don't know about zombies.
Not really interested then. All right, so thank you, Ice Killer, for that super chat. We also have another super chat here from Minerva. Thank you, Minerva.
They say it can carry worlds around now as snow globes harkens. I was like, globe sharkens. Snow globe harkens back to Madness Returns game map from the concept art book and the references to the snow globes in the game. Is there in the ye olde art book there's references to snow globes?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had planned a lot of, obviously there's a lot of content we planned that didn't make it into the final game. I do recall that there was some sort of snow globe mechanic. I don't recall off the top of my head what it was, but we could go look at that. We'll see. Did we miss any of the other super chats? No.
Don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, Lucas just finished Gaze Dawn.
All right. Gaze Dawn was a lot of fun.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Well, I'm now on to the horse version of Gaze Dawn, which is Red Dead Redemption. And that is a very different game. I have to say, it really forces you to slow down and to just kind of mosey along, as it were. But I'm enjoying it.
I'll have a look later.
Yeah, you're going to have to check it out.
Yeah.
All right, back to art review. So what we have here, do you know what that is? Is that Yoda?
Zoom in.
What's Yoda doing there in the middle of... Odd. So, yeah.
There's a lot of tentacles going on. So this is a great picture because we all know tentacles make things better.
Oh, man. Fantastic. Omri actually says here, this is the queen boss. Needs to be designed.
Okay.
I believe that is in reference to this thing. Perhaps we don't know exactly what this is yet. But, yeah, this is a scene for a queen battle. Now, this would not be the first time that Alice comes to battle the queen, and you know that because when she comes back this time, she's wearing the harvest dress, which means she's gone off somewhere and gotten badass, and now she's going to come back and kick this bee's ass. So, yeah, this is the Queen of Hearts. This will be the second encounter. Now, we've talked about there are going to be at least 2 encounters. Now, in the first encounter, Alice has gone from the denial stage. She'll traverse through anger, through the Queen's domain, and she will eventually fight and then be defeated by and captured by the Queen. And so then her white rabbit, her little rabbit plush, will be taken hostage, and Alice will be sent off on a mission. We'll get into that later, but basically she's stuck. She's going to be stuck doing the Queen's bidding, and it all kind of fails miserably until she runs off and gets her shit together and changes her dress and her makeup and comes back and then stabs this thing in the face. So this will be that scene in which she finally defeats the queen and then can move forward and pass through anger. And one would assume that if we followed through on what we were just talking about, maybe at the end of this, she stuffs these tentacles into a bottle. And,
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten octopus tentacles?
I have.
You have?
How weird's that?
That is weird, considering how little things you are willing to eat.
I know. And the even weirder thing is, I quite liked it. Like fried little calamari doodahs at a Chinese restaurant back in my hometown.
So if you ever get the opportunity, because I've done this, don't try to eat them live.
I probably wouldn't.
I've actually eaten live octopus before, and it's a little dangerous because the little suckers want to stick to your throat as you're trying to swallow them. So
you're trying to recreate Old Boy.
Yeah, well, it's not just a recreation. I mean, it's an actual thing. You go into a Japanese sushi bar, and there it'll be, and they'll slice and dice, and you chew it. But if you don't chew the suckers 100%, they can get you. So
nice.
There you go. Righty, looks like we've got some rubles coming from Russia.
Spielkonji Kong gives us 40 rubs.
Wow, thanks for the rubs.
Good luck. We believe in your project.
Thank you very much.
Heart.
We appreciate that. Our Russian comrades, we very much appreciate your support.
Believe in you too.
We do know that there is a massive and very vocal Alice group over on VK on the Russian Facebook.
There is.
Yeah, we hope you guys are happy. I'm sorry that we don't speak Russian. I do hope that someone is helping to interpret all the things that we're working on here to you and doing that without too much bias. There you go.
And we have one from Carousel Curls. Thank you very much. So many cosplay ideas, so little thread. Many.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get to this poster in a minute here that's got the Halloween. Did you see the final version of the Halloween poster?
I think so.
It's pretty fantastic. Well, you saw the one with the snow in the background. Have you seen the super satanic one?
All right, maybe not.
All right, you got to see the super satanic Halloween poster, and that dress is fantastic. But you're going to have to wait just a moment because first, you know what time it is?
It's that special time.
Time to give away a Cheshire kitten.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how this works?
Got to come up with a question.
You got to come up with a question.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. We've actually asked this question again, but because Halloween is coming up, I would like to know what is your favorite holiday? Maybe it's Halloween, but you do need to spam up the chat. You just fill in what is your favorite holiday. Mine, what is yours?
Christmas.
Christmas is your favorite holiday.
Yeah, it's got memories of like being quite special when you were young, and everything kind of changes, all the songs on the radio and the stuff on the TV, and it gets colder, and you look forwards to your prezzies.
I think as a
nostalgic
child, I bounced back and forth between Christmas and Halloween. But then, Christmas, I don't know. I grew up really poor, so a lot of times I would get my birthday presents, which are on the 13th of December, and I'd get a pile, and my mom would be like, okay, here's a little pile of presents, and now you divide them up. You get to open half now and half at Christmas. And this was really looking back, I don't think my mom understood this is a really shit thing to do to a child, because what happens is it's kind of like a gotcha mechanic, right? You open up the first half and you're like socks, underwear, socks. But then you're like waiting until Christmas thinking all of the Transformers and Nintendo stuff is going to be in the next set, right? And then you get to Christmas and you open it up and it's like socks, underwear. Oh no, why? So
it would be kind of extra sucky if there was a 2-part gift and you split them. You opened one earlier and it was like a Nintendo cartridge.
I think that something like that happened. And I mean, my mom was one of the ones who, or maybe it was one of the stepdads, I don't know. But I remember they did do a couple of like evil things. Like there was a box that looked like it would have been something cool, like a game console, which they put things in, but it wasn't, it was socks.
That's the best thing for wrapping presents though, like faking people out and stuff.
Terrible.
What I used to like doing is like really wrapping them really well. Like
that's always fun.
Covered in like multiple
Pour
wrappings.
Concrete over them.
Of like just entire reams of sellotape.
Yeah, it's not nice. So yeah, we've got a bunch of comments rolling in here. Christmas, Easter because of the chocolate, Easter, National Apricot Day, says Mr. Curios. Halloween, Christmas, St. Patrick Day. I think Carousel Curls likes to drink.
Seems
I'm just going to take a guess there. Nice. I don't think that nice is a holiday, but okay. Halloween, Day of the Dead. I like Day of the Dead quite a lot.
Great movie.
It's a very good kind of Halloween, but not at Halloween down in Mexico.
Day of the Sandwich sounds pretty good.
Day of the Dead sandwich.
Just Day of the Sandwich.
Oh, Mr. Curios with Day of the Sandwich. I think Mr. Curios is being silly. This is Halloween. Well, yeah, so I think Halloween's a pretty good one. And we do have Halloween coming up, and we even have a special Halloween poster.
Are we dressing up again?
I threw our wigs away, so if we are, we'd better...
Well, it's got to be something different.
Yeah.
I'm not doing Goku again.
Let's do it. Let's dress up.
I've actually got some good ideas. I've already been thinking about it.
All
yeah,
right.
I'm not going to say anything.
Please don't. All right, we're going to roll it in 3, 2, 1. And it is Leonardo Fica. Congratulations, Leonardo. He says 18 to September, sorry. So Leonardo, you have actually won the roll here with Nightbot, and in order to claim your Cheshire Kitten, which he's got a Cheshire Cat as his little icon there, you're going to want to scroll down into the description below, and there will be a link to how to claim your prize. It involves emailing us and sending us your details and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours, that's very important. He says, I won! Yes, you did.
Ooh.
And what you won was the cat. Don't forget, you're going to get a cat. You're not going to get the rest of the crap. So don't freak out when only the cat arrives. All right. But congratulations on winning your very own Cheshire Kitten. Please take very good care of him. Don't feed him after midnight. And don't get him wet, for the love of God. All right. Back to art review. We have... This is the throne room. Now, this would actually be maybe kind of the first time that she goes to confront the queen. Now, this is sort of the final...
So that other picture we saw with the tentacles is the smashed throne room. It's got the same kind of arches at the side and stuff.
It is all effed up.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Well, like we said, this is the maybe first encounter. You can take a look at the dress she's wearing there. It's different. Now, this is the doll.
I like that dress. It's a good one.
Do we still sell those stockings? They seem to sell quite well.
No.
I have to take a look. Anyway, this is pretty cool. I like these giant card guards. They're really amazing.
Oh, I didn't see them.
They don't stand out as well as I'd like.
Yes.
So I do think we ought to make them a bit bigger. But I really like, and I've said this before, I really like the idea that as she moves through this world, she's encountering a lot of characters and monsters that are much bigger than her. Because again, she's smaller, like literally and figuratively in this adventure. So I think it'd be really cool if we could represent her as a lot smaller compared to some of these characters she's going up against. But yeah, that is the after. This is when she comes back and kicks some butt, and this is the before.
There's a good picture. You think it would be a good art print?
Yeah. This one could be a good art print. I would say if Omri was going to do this as an art print, maybe do throw in a bit more contrast. Like, for instance, make those guards stand out a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool one. It's really beautiful. Now, I think that our artists have been working on stained glass. We're going to get to this in a minute, but I do believe that they've been doing some things with relation to the stained glass that we find in the Queen's Castle. But back to this really quickly. I really like this blood rushing in through the doors. And I'm wondering, is it blood that she's walking on here?
Like a little pool, just like...
Well, yeah,
centimeter or inch deep or something.
Exactly. I mean, can you imagine like walking up to this woman's throne and then the floor you're walking on is rendered in the game as this
the
liquidy,
blood of her enemies,
viscous stuff that you're walking on? That'd be pretty cool. There's a bit of storytelling going on in the paintings on the walls in the background here too. I think we want to kind of explore that. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, there's the old card suits.
Yep.
Behind the figures.
Yeah. This is the area that we're currently working on. We're working through anger. We're working through the Queen's Domain over on Patreon and with our crowd design. So if you're interested in kind of more of the details about what and why and how, it would be something that you would go over and tune into some of the previous posts over on Patreon. If you go and look at that right now, scroll down, you'll see that a lot of the description about the art we've just been looking at, like the sun being at the center of all this, and kind of a layout of the dungeon and back and forth that we're having. Ooh, there's one of those card guards. So all that stuff is over on Patreon, and of course you can jump into the discussion directly and kind of help guide us on where all this stuff goes.
Yep.
What is up next? Okay, so this is... Do you know what that is, Martin?
Is it the toy shop / doll shop type thing?
It does say doll making. Now, do you know who made dolls?
Is it the doll maker?
It was the doll maker.
Yes.
He was a super bad guy. Now, this is a little bit of a contentious subject.
Yes, we had a comment. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, find that comment, because we have had a couple people who are somewhat uncomfortable with where we may be taking this. Now, this is an image from Joey. She says, the doll head, this is Alice's Asylum shaved head, says, welcome, when Alice enters the door. That's messed up.
In a creepy way?
Yeah.
Welcome.
And then the light of the store shall be warm, making this a pleasant place. And the plush toy heads on the wall and board give the whole area some weird feeling. It shall not be a 100% Disney comfortable place. So that's good, because it turns out it's run by a child molester. So I would hope that it doesn't give us a comfortable feeling. Yeah.
I found the comment.
What is the comment?
It's from Greg.
Uh-oh, Greg.
Gregory Parubek.
Uh-oh.
I'm not the biggest fan of this toy shop design. It comes across as on-the-nose creepy, whereas I think it should be far more subtle, to the point of either initially not being creepy at all, or the exterior looks completely friendly and unassuming.
Well, Greg, this, as we know, it is an interesting topic. We haven't decided 100% on a lot of this stuff yet. This is the first rendering of the shop. Now, I have to say, it feels right to me for the era. So the first thing I would want to think about, the first question I would ask, and let's set this up really quickly. We are playing a game, Asylum, in which Alice is 13 years old and her family has been burnt to the ground, and she does not yet have the awareness of there being any sort of murder, death, plan, no plot, and that she's not really aware that Bumby is to blame or that anyone is to blame. In fact, I think in this struggle, much like in AMA, probably a lot of the guilt, blame, anger, she's directing at herself. I've said in a previous post that perhaps more importantly than directing that anger at herself, she's directing it at the world, which also fits in really neatly with the idea of her transitioning through the phase of pubescence. She's 13 years old, so she's going to be your somewhat typical young girl who's sort of angry at the world, right? She's rebelling, and so I think that a lot of that's going to be directed outwards. She's just lost her family. She's locked up in an asylum. She's got plenty to be angry about. Now, taking all that into account, the doll shop and Bumby as a representative within it, we don't want to color it with our knowledge of who he is. We don't want to color it with our expectations. We want to present it as she would have perceived it. And from that perspective of like, oh, I hate the world, and this is just a doll shop to her. It's a place where she may go, in fact, to seek comfort, to find some solace. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, kind of hear what Alice on Elm Street just super chattered. Thank you for that. What if the toy shop changes over time? Like it starts out more friendly and then deeper into the game it gets creepier and creepier. However, like you just said, at this point in time, is Alice that aware of the creepiness of Bumby? Why would it get creepier and creepier?
Well, it is there, right? I mean, the subconscious, there's going to be some degree of subconscious awareness, a tickle, whatever it may be. And look, ultimately, Bumby is a monster. He is a creep. Perhaps her subconscious does render some aspect of that element of his personality, and it grows it over time. It could also be just a sort of general rebellion against him as a sort of mature / adult / father figure. And again, without having any need for her awareness of him as a murderer, as a molester, she could just simply be rebelling against him as an authority figure. Now, we did say on the most recent crowd design session that by the end of Asylum, we do have to find a reason to put forth for his being exiled. And I sort of jokingly brought up the villains in the original Superman movie.
All right.
Remember where they get trapped in that kind of space mirror?
They do. They get trapped in the Phantom Zone.
Is that what it's called? The Phantom Zone, right?
Yes.
So if you go and you check out this reference, so my idea was sort of that, like, somehow, why is
Trump in the Phantom Zone?
Why is he in everything?
He's just like the internet's meme man.
I mean, I just
currently
feel bad for people. Everybody out there is so crazy about him that he literally, you can't, he's touching everything because people's brains are so infected with him. Anyway, so this is the bad guys encapsulated, trapped within the Phantom Zone. So I kind of had this joke the other day that we ought to come up with sort of whatever the excuse is for Alice to finally be finished with him, and she sort of snaps her fingers. And he's banished, he's sent off into her version of
into a mirror hurtling through space.
Why not? Maybe they could pass each other in space, like, hey, no, who did that to you, Superman? And then the Trump one goes flying by, and half of our audience throws their controller at the screen in unison. So yeah, Alice on Elm Street. That is a good suggestion that you've got there. I think that is correct, that probably over time we are going to have to work towards something of him becoming more creepy, or in some sense he gets to a place where Alice has to reject him.
Faux show.
I think that works. The echoes back, says somebody.
It does seem to be something, well, at least we've got something to look at now after the stream. Going between tabs seems to change something, so that's a good place to start.
Really? So when we were on the web tab, it came back, but when we're on these other tabs, it's gone?
I don't know.
That's very, very weird. Is it? I don't know. Okay. So, blow up the train station, bury him in the rumble. I think you mean rubble, but I understand.
Nope, in the rumble.
Well, you could bury him in the rumble, too. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where we bury him, but for sure he needs to be banished.
What did Greg say? Some people, Wendy loves it.
Mm-hmm. He said,
"Oh, it's either
bury him in the rumble
thing."
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I quite like this. I like the representation of the shop. I like the idea of us having to interact with him, especially with us as the audience having awareness of who he is, what he is. Now, someone else brought up, and I don't know if it was Alice or Greg or Wendy, but who was it that had the suggestion that you could sort of subvert your interactions with him? Because we wouldn't want to allow the player to directly attack Bumby, but we may want to put the player in a position where you can go around him, steal from him, and otherwise mess with him, but not in a way that breaks the game. Or breaks the narrative. Do you remember that?
I remember that comment and that chat, but I don't quite remember who said it. It was a while ago now.
It could also be that it's just sort of her doing typically childish things towards any adult kind of figure in this world. And so we give the player the option, but that option fits in with what kind of naughty nonsense she might be up to anyway, right? So I don't know. That's something to think about. Somebody mentions here burying him in the ruin. That's the black goo stuff. Now, we talked about that in the recent crowd design session, that perhaps Alice and her frustrations and the fact that she's trapped back in the world of Asylum while adult Alice runs forth into AMA and AMR and saves the world, that could also be a source of the ruin. Like, where does that black goo come from? So there's a bunch of ideas like that floating around. A lot of this stuff sort of interconnected. And that was actually one of the topics of the most recent crowd design sessions was, as we work on the story, how are we working through it? And I mentioned that, for me, story writing is finding blobs of things that are interesting and they have little tentacles. Yay, tentacles coming out of them. And then we're working to connect the tentacles together in various ways. It's like building an organic network, as opposed to, we know for sure we're going to go to, the end of this story, X marks the spot. No, it's more like, here's a bunch of cool ideas that work. They're supported by the character's motivations and by the need for her growth and adventure. And then we slowly kind of pencil them all together. I don't know. So,
all right.
We'll see.
We have another maybe here from Azure Kyoku. Apparently you just echo when you face me. So
all
something
right, well,
else.
I will not face you.
Yes.
That is the thing where we're supposed to turn our
I've turned mine away from you.
Good.
So maybe that's it.
Keep your microphone away from me, Martin. Stinky axe-covered microphone.
Sexy axe.
So, continuing on, art review, we have card guards.
Look at these.
What did you think
Awesome.
of these? What was your first reaction to these?
I'm having that first reaction now.
Okay.
I only saw the other mechanical card guard. They're quite like them. They're... how to say? Modern is the wrong word, but some of like with the hoods up and the sort of the glowing tech stuff behind the mask, they have a little bit of a modern feel to them, perhaps. But if the glowing was all kind of flaming and smoky, then I guess that would get around that.
So there's a couple things that happened when I saw these. One is there's a lot of character in them. I mean, a lot. By the way, this is Norm who drew these, and he's very good at drawing.
He is
character.
Super duper.
Fantastic. And when I saw them, my first thought was, what's this game? Because, and I mean that in a good way. Because what I saw was a story, was character, was all of these people and the places and the things that have happened to them and what the hell's going on here. And it's a lot of depth to put into what are just card guards, right? Because I think of card guards as sort of cannon fodder, that they're cookie cuttered, they're pressed, they're printed, they're whatever, and they're put out into the world, and they're just there to be slaughtered, right? And you don't need a story, you don't need emotion, you don't need character, and yet these guys are so heavy in character and emotion that they demand a story.
They're very emotive, but we're living in an age now where even the generic slaughterable plebs can have very emotive faces, and the guy up there on the top left, the stretchy face plebs, and
well, they not only could have that, but we could explore it because, of course, games are getting to be that big. I mean, it's one of the things I find really engaging about Red Dead Redemption is just the amount of dialogue and the interaction that they've recorded. And there's dialogue and interaction for just everything. Like, you stop and stare at somebody too long, everybody's got their own little, like, what are you looking at, And not only that, but just the density of the backstory of all the characters in the world. I mean, as you're going around, you just see people like literally cutting hay and bundling it up and baling it, and they've got their own bits of dialogue to complain about the situation. So it really comes off feeling like you're in a world. And when I see these guys, then I think like, hell, what is their world like?
Terrifying,
it looks
apparently.
Like it's pretty terrifying. Now, do you know when we were doing the crowd design session this week, we talked about why they look like that. And there was a bit of, again, this was another kind of contentious subject, was why are we making these metal card guards? And so here was some sort of full body variations on them. Now, do you remember why we needed to have them be made out of metal?
Is it because they are powered by the sun?
And they're working in that sun dungeon, the sungeon. What, you don't like the sungeon?
Not a fan of sungeon.
I'm gonna throw you into the sungeon, Martin. See how you like it. So yeah, they are metal because they are working in that furious furnace of fury and anger, the place where the queen has captured the sun. And of course, a traditional paper-based card guard would just burst into flames. And so therefore, we have a need to create characters who could survive this kind of environment.
Makes sense.
Now, don't ask me how Alice is just staring directly into the sun. Clearly, she never got the memo that you should not look directly into the sun.
The don't stare directly at the sun panda.
Yeah, it was. But she is staring directly into the sun. You are too, by the way. Insane children. Ah! Sorry. We'll give away some free eyeballs in the next prize giving. So yeah, that's why they're made out of metal, and that is why Norm is working on these concepts. Again, the idea of all of the sort of emotion in them. I mean, you can imagine those guys in place of these black smudges. I believe that's what Omri's going to do. We're going to see them marching around inside of this place.
Yeah.
They're pretty
grumbling
cool.
And twitching and looking creepy, whatever they do.
I think they're just guarding the place, mainly, right?
Yeah, but still, they're just not going to be stood still like statues. They've got to have character.
Well, they got to be doing something. I'm assuming that they're sort of like harvesting the, I don't know, the power. This is the thing we've got to come up with. Why is the queen capturing the power of the sun to drive an army of angry metal card guard guys?
There's the question.
There is the question. That'll be on the back of the box.
Speaking
Get to the bottom of the mystery.
Of which, let's go back in the chat. There we go. Ice Killer, again, thank you for the super chat. In Link's Awakening, when you steal from the shop, the game labels you as a thief for the rest of the game. Maybe we can have that in Asylum.
That sounds all right.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a good idea. The problem with labeling you as a thief, though, is it suggests a kind of open world with an ongoing character attribute. I don't know that we're making that sort of game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could just
And
be
having
a little
it,
negative mark in your report card at the end of the game.
I didn't think about it. Maybe it could be like a trophy or an achievement, but then people might not want to be branded a thief just to get a trophy.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Maybe you just get branded as naughty.
Maybe.
But this does bring up, are we making an open world sort of, that's the kind of thing you would have in an RPG open world, adventure game, and it would be a character attribute, and perhaps through, various actions you can move the needle between naughty and nice. So far, we've not described Alice Asylum as that kind of game. I think that the closest to the thing we think we're building would be, if you've played Alice Madness Returns, but also maybe God of Boy, the most recent God of War game, that would be another game somewhat in the realm of kind of what we have in mind.
Before that super chat, see what people are saying about the guards. Like undead robots. I like them, says Leah Little.
A little Warhammer 40k type dudes. This comes up a lot because of the whole chaos thing. People.
Yes. Anyway, Lucas Severin, super chats.
Has he thrown more numbers at us?
No. Maybe there could be some short conversations with the doll maker that slowly get more and more uncomfortable as the game goes on. Oh, and that last chat just said Stick Boy and Font Lord.
Nice. Thanks for that, Lucas.
Spoiled it. Some people might have wanted to solve that.
It's it's a little bit. This is a sticky topic, right? On the question of the doll maker / Bumby representing himself in a way that we, the audience, are like, ooh, that's icky, that's uncomfortable, but young Alice doesn't get it. Do we want to go there? This is the difficulty of us building a product where we time travel backwards as the audience, and the main character doesn't yet know that someone's evil. And just how much do you want to turn that dial? I think we're going to have to mess around with it a bit.
So
we don't know just yet, but I think it would be unfortunate if we, super bad guide him too early, because there's no, she wouldn't have the sort of subconscious justification for that, and it's really not, it's not central to the story we're telling in Asylum.
Maybe he doesn't go full on bad guy, but I mean, perhaps very subtly as the game progresses, maybe like he stares at her and his eyes are on her a little too long.
Here's the
and
thing,
stuff.
Is that when we are the audience and we know who he is, then literally anything he does we could misinterpret as, hey, we know who that is. That's not just innocent sausage waving. There's some dark meaning in that, Anyway, I don't know. That was a silly example, but you get my point.
Yes.
You're right. It could just be, even just he gazes at her for a little too long. We're all going to be like, oh, look there.
Perv.
Right? Yeah. So we're going to have to be careful with that.
Taylor Goen, super chats. Thank you. I'd play a game with just these guys. I assume referencing.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. When I saw these, my first thought was, ooh, what's that? That looks like a pretty cool game unto itself.
An offshoot game already.
Yeah.
It's like where you play a card guard.
A Card Guard's Life. A Disney movie. Pixar. Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
We have one more super chat and then we can do the giveaway.
Uh-oh.
There's a lot of comments that we...
It's a lot of comments.
There is.
So, yeah.
Alice on Elm Street, thank you for that. In regards to Bumby, what if he says things that will only be creepy or uncomfortable if you've played the other games?
Well, this is exactly the point I just made. Everything will be creepy and uncomfortable, even if we go out of our way to try to avoid it.
People do love to read into things.
Yeah.
In this day and age.
I mean, unless we write his dialogue to be super mechanical and clinical and just like, good afternoon.
Welcome to my shop.
Yes. I'm not looking at... in fact, I'm going to avoid looking at you at all. I mean, unless we go out of our way...
What's he trying to avoid? What's he hiding?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. So, well, let's see. Let's see how we go with that. But again, this is one of those things where, I'll say it again, we've had some pushback or we've had some concerns. People are like, I don't know if I want to see him in the game. Fair enough, but I actually think that is one of the reasons why we want to put him in the game. He's not neutral. He's not easy. And I think that our relationship with him as players and understanding who he is in her world, that makes it all that much more interesting.
True dat.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Ooh, Ice Killer's back again. Thank you for the super chat. It's more of a narrative as it doesn't have much effect other than everyone calling you a thief in Link's Awakening. This was an add-on to... Oh, this was to add on to your narrative comment earlier in the doll shop.
Yeah, I get that. I understand. I guess, then the question would be, is there a way to undo it? Maybe you do it accidentally. Like, I've found that is a problem in Red Dead Redemption, is I keep killing people accidentally. They've mixed up, like, the L2 is what you pull up, like, a dialogue menu with, but it's also what you use to aim your gun. So,
right.
Depending on whether or not somebody has a dialogue tree, you're either going to engage them in conversation or shoot them in the face.
So yeah, I want to talk to this guy.
Bang!
Bang! Ah, shit.
And now you're wanted for murder and someone's witnessed it, and the next thing you know, you're chasing that guy down to murder them. And then someone witnesses that. So you're just basically piling up bodies everywhere to get out of the fact that you've killed one guy accidentally. Anyway, I don't want us to end up in that place. So
right.
We'll see.
It is that time.
It is that time. What's the question?
I thought we could we could put that picture up and we could get people to sort of like name their favorite.
These?
Yeah.
All right.
Which one's your favorite? And maybe give it a name.
All right, there you go. Well, name that card guard. You can pick any one of them. And that's how you're going to spam up the chat, is it?
Yeah.
And what are they going to win?
Chesh. A single solitary Chesh.
Just the kitten.
Just the kitten.
Not the bag.
The accoutrement, as you called it earlier. Not that.
Not the accoutrements, just the cat.
Yes.
All right, so you're going to win a cat, but you're going to have to first spam up the chat. It's going to be name a card guard. Give names to, well, this guy is very clearly called Cardlor Abra.
Yeah.
That was not easy to say.
That wasn't easy.
But I got it out.
I keep being drawn over to the one on the left. Stretchy face. But that might be too
This guy.
on your nose as scary. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I would probably call him, it looks like a bad, kind of a bad plastic surgery. So I might call him something like elastic surgery. I don't know. We've got Cardla Abra.
Hooded Screamer. Says Azure. Peep. Which one's Peep?
Peep.
Which one do we think Peep is?
Don't know.
Maybe the.
Yeah, but this one I'm gonna call this one American. Do you know why?
Which one?
This one right here. I'm gonna call this one Stick Boy because he has to wear a gas mask because the guy sitting next to him is wearing axe.
Does it?
So
It filters out Victorian ye olde axe.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's me, and that also is what generates my echo.
Or it could be like all the flames and stuff is like from axe. It's like burning it off.
We now know the central plot to Alice Asylum.
It's a giant ball of axe that's powering the Queen's card army.
Now is when we should switch to this whole thing has been brought to you by Axe. Welcome to the internet.
Let's reach out to Axe, see if they'll sponsor us.
Terrible. All right. Have you got any good? We've got the Grim Creeper. What have you got?
Nasher, Rob,
Oscar,
Bob,
Ghost Son,
Spam. Which one's Spam?
I don't know. Cordok the Destroyer. I like that.
Truffles.
Screamer. Nasher.
Dopey, top middle.
Okay. Jerry and Larry. Oscar's getting a lot of typing here for some reason. I don't know what's up with Oscar.
Gosun.
Wheel of Misfortune. The second from the left to the bottom. Yeah. I can see that.
I like that guy. But
The
he
guy
might
with
be a
the-
little too human looking.
The guy with the gear on top of his head.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like Gearhead, but that's a bit obvious as well. Yeah, I mean,
And it's
this
Rick and
guy's
Morty.
kind of Gearhead. This guy's kind of Ghostface. I still like Cardlar Abra very much. Gas Mask and Martin. I'm just gonna call this one Martin. This is
Okay.
that's me. And that's you wearing axe. Ah, boy. All right, let's roll it. Let's see who we
Roll
get.
it.
We got Christina Brown. Congratulations, Christina. You have won your very own Cheshire Kitten. There are some details in the description below which will guide you to how to claim your prize. So please follow those instructions. Do that within 24 hours or else you will not
There'll
get
be
your
trouble.
prize. Again, that was Christina Brown. And congratulations for winning. There you go. Scroll down, description below, instructions, and you've got 24 hours. Or I'll send Martin to your house with a bottle of Axe.
Yeah.
All right. So continuing with our review of the work that's been done on the Queen's Domain. Now, I actually, this idea got my noggin jogging. It was that Alice would go through these Croquet grounds. Now, I think we said something about this being Alice's punishment. She had to kind of run a gauntlet. Remember we were talking about that?
Something about doing. Yeah.
But I said,
Vaguely.
why don't we put a fairly well realized, croquet / golf game into the game? And I don't mean like a cheap kind of like sort of works thing. I mean something where the croquet weapon, once you've acquired that skill with it, would allow you to do really accurate, really good distant attacks with the croquet mallet and the croquet balls. And it could be that these sort of like floating islands and the sort of goals what is it called in croquet? You have to shoot the ball under those arches.
Yeah, little hoops or
goals. What is it called?
I don't play croquet much, as surprising as that might sound.
I used to play as a kid. It was quite fun, but I can't remember what those are called. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that we would then work our way towards implementing a really good system for croquet mallet / ball mechanics. And that would start off and be presented first here in the croquet grounds. Now, this is going to be behind or near to the Queen's Castle. And I think we said something along the lines of like Alice maybe having to fight through this, or she has to escape through this. I'm not sure which way we had it.
Don't know, but this picture kind of reminds me a little bit of All Paths Lead to Death. Is it the same location?
It's
similar.
Well, yeah, I mean, All Paths is the hedge maze, which is also within the Queen's realm. So for sure. So I think there's going to be some similarities here. A lot of blood, a lot of cards.
But yeah, I do like a well-realized game within a game. Going back now, you might not remember, you might not have played it. I forget which Super Monkey Ball it was. Either 1 or 2 on the GameCube. The golf game they added inside that was absolutely fantastic. Oh. I played that more than the main game.
Well, it was what I had said, I think, when this first came up, was that I used to play Wii Sports, but I played it exclusively for the golf game within Wii Sports, and it was a very good golf game. And it was a major source of relaxation for me back whenever that was the thing that I was playing. So, yeah. Anyway, this is the Croquet Grounds. And this is, I think, an image that Joey did, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it a Joey one?
I think. Is it Joey? It's hard to tell because both Joey and Omri write these. This must be Omri.
I'd say Omri for this.
Okay. Well, anyway.
So I'm going to sneeze.
You go for it. Go to sneeze. Let's get that on camera.
Hang on. It might have, prematurely gone, I think.
Premature sneezolation.
We have a super chat.
Speaking of super chats, go for it.
Alice on Elm Street, welcome back with a super chat. Thank you very much. Kind of a random thought, but it amused me. What if Alice keeps getting Bumby's name wrong? She only vaguely knows him as her father's student. She recognizes him, but just can't remember the name.
See, I like that.
Blumby.
Well, I like that she doesn't recognize him, and I like that perhaps as the shopkeeper, he might have some comments along those lines of, I think you don't remember me, or you don't recall, or something like that, which would be good to, set the player in the right mindset as, hey, this is a character 13-year-old Alice, I don't really know. I've not had any interactions with. So that might make sense.
Yeah.
And we've had some people say just straight out, like, don't even have Bumby or have him disguised in some way. There's been a couple of ways that people have asked that we might represent or not represent him in the game. Look, as with a lot of the things we're talking about right now, let's take a little time and space we'll talk about it, and we'll decide as we go forward, what is the best way to represent him or not. Like I said, I like having him there because I think he's got a lot of emotional power, and I don't think that we should walk away from that. In fact, whatever that power is, we should harness it. We should confront it. We should use it.
I wonder if we could get the same voice actor.
As I've mentioned before, he wasn't a fan of being that
He did not want to be credited.
No, he didn't. So it wouldn't be good to be like blabbing his name on the live stream.
I'm not going to say it, but I know who it is, and he's pretty famous back in my home country.
Well, he in Font World.
In Font World.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know you had other Font World denizens living in our world.
Got to lord over someone.
This is true. Your subjects. Well, then you could just order him to be in the game again.
Priscilla said she would welcome me to her home if I was covered in axe. See, people love axe. It's just you that hates it.
All right, so what else have we got going on here in art review? There are some posters getting done. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a shift I don't know if we should jump to this yet, because the problem is there is a bunch of stuff over in Trello that we've not really shown off yet. So this is like those card guard heads. There's a bit more detail. Why does this guy feel like he comes from Transformers or something to me?
Yeah, I think this is going too far now. Again, I don't think modern is the right word, but there's something about it that just doesn't seem to fit. As cool as it looks, I think it would just stand out too much.
Yeah, I do too. I think there's a point where your cannon fodder characters could end up with a bit too much character. Now, I have had the thought that when we first approach the Queen's domain, and from outside the wall that protects the grounds and the castle, Alice is going to take part in an assault by the chess pieces, basically the subjects, the warriors, the soldiers of the Red Queen. And the Red Queen, of course, is the one that is of the chess piece world, right? And so Alice, in order to get past the first layer of defenses, is gonna buddy up with the soldiers who are trying to breach the castle. And so we're going to have some interaction with them, and then we're going to come up against and maybe see or interact with these card guard soldiers. So there is going to be a point where perhaps we're going to learn that there is a kind of card guard soldier general or some, higher up guy or girl. Card guard girl? Is there such things? Card girls?
Maybe.
So we are going to find that there could be points where we are face to face with them. We are getting dialogue from them, and maybe we do want something like this.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever mentioned this, and I'm just saying something off the top of my head here. But with all of those pictures, I thought about like card guards like evolving. If there's sort of like a generic looking one, and then maybe it can sort of like peel its own face off, and it morphs into like a stronger form or something.
Right.
I know we've never said that, but just looking at all those different card guards now, I kind of imagined what if they weren't all different, that they were just kind of, some of them were the same, just with differently destroyed faces as they've evolved. I don't know, just spitballing there.
Well, this is something to work on. And it is something where we have to be careful to, walk the line between magical and mechanical. We do have precedent for, mechanical monsters in the Alice games as having come from the Mad Hatter. He seems to be the one who's into all the mechanical monster stuff. Now, Alex, he did actually write up a big response to this.
Well, that's unusual for Alex to write a massive wall of text.
Yeah, it's strange. I've never seen Alex write entire books as responses to things, like just walls of text. Strange, very strange. But that's sarcasm, by the way, for those of you who don't know. So yeah, Alex also pushed back on these mechanical monsters. And, again, I think this is a first stab. And Norm is so good that he kind of accidentally creates side characters who look like they should have their whole own franchise, right? That's a positive thing, not a negative. Echo is back, says somebody.
Yeah.
So Echo seems to happen in web review, but not in the other places. That's interesting. But nothing's really changed here.
Oh hum.
Wow. Wab.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about Echo. Sorry. So yeah, those are those card guards. There's other stuff going on in Trello that we might have missed. This I do have downloaded, so maybe we'll look at the downloaded ones. This is a continuation of the castle and the hallways leading through to the encounter with the Queen. So as Omri says here, Alice is placing the windows in the correct order to create a proper version of the hallway to the actual exit. So he did send along the kind of final version of that image. It looks like this. And this is something also I think Jen was working on with him. So we have, and that's what I used as the notification for YouTube today. Right. We have these stained glass elements And so these are kind of telling a story. There's the gnome. There's her house burning down. There is her in the asylum. There's her in the classic dress. There's her in the Veil of Tears. There's the exit. So yeah, they're working on this idea of arranging the stained glass and making that something of a puzzle that you work through in order to get to the exit of this area.
Good idea.
It's a pretty cool idea.
Reminds me of that picture from Joey with the fish swimming in the air, the lanterns.
Wow, yeah, that's a really good one too. You just think about how much art we've created so far. I wish we could maybe start putting some of that stuff into the game. Come on, EA. So that is going to lead to this piece of art. So this is the kind of Escher-esque, the stained glass bits, and then you can see how they connect together all of these various platforms floating in space here. Like, there's the fish floating around.
Yay!
Hey, they're back. Now, I love, I've said a million times, I love areas like this. I think these kinds of things are so much more interesting to look at than just sort of your standard old things that people use video games to make. I really like floaty sky, magical, kind of weird dreamscape stuff, and that was one of the things that originally inspired me to make an Alice game.
Yeah. See what the engine could do.
Yeah. So this is something that Jen and Omri are working on, collaborating on, stained glass portals that lead through this thing to the exit from this area. Looks pretty cool.
Got another suggestion from Azure saying that our mufflers need to point towards each other. So,
point the mufflers towards...
If we do them like that, then your sound won't.
That's wrong. These are not mufflers. These are they're pop guards. They're supposed to reduce the explosiveness of our pops when we're speaking.
What did I just change?
Oh, Martin, you're gonna break everything.
Apparently.
I wouldn't trust those insane children if I was you. All right, now we're gonna get into posters. We are working on some holiday posters. Now this, I shared an early version of this that had a kind of a snowy background.
Ooh, look at that. I've seen the snowy one, but what's going on here?
This is the final one.
Your mum would not approve of anything this satanic.
No, my mom would be very upset with this poster, to say the least. But we do need to figure out what we're going to do with these posters, because there's been a suggestion that we do something along the lines of like a postcard set. Have you been a part of that?
No. Who said that?
It's been mentioned in the comments on Trello, and I've seen some people mention it over on Patreon.
All right.
Because, what we've been doing is like at certain big holidays, we will share, or at big milestones on Patreon, we will share postcards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea here was maybe for Christmas, we send out this Halloween image and maybe the Christmas image as well.
Isn't that Halloween one for the double Halloween doodah?
That's what we don't know just yet. So we need to figure this out. So, leave some comments. I'll put this up on Patreon. Everybody can talk about what they want us to do. Should we do this as a kind of like little, is it A5 is smaller than, which way does it go?
Yes,
Anyway, we could do this as a postcard, and then we send this out to all the insane children. Some people were saying, I saw a mention somewhere of doing this as a postcard and having a set that we send out. You would have to pay a little bit for it, but that it would be combined together with, now I've lost it. Hold on a second, so I'm not scrolling through this while you're staring at that and losing your minds. That would be combined with the Christmas one, and the Christmas one looks like this. Okay. So the question was, should we put a pack together? Like you'd get that Halloween one, maybe like one copy of that, but then we'd send out a pack of like 20 or whatever is a normal number of these on cards, and once you receive them, then you'd be able to use them as your Christmas cards.
Good idea.
but we need to ask people, do they want that?
But if they were being sent out in time to be Christmas cards, that would have to happen fairly soon.
Yep, it would have to be that we'd rush off to print these and get them sending out in order for people to receive them almost by Halloween, in order for the Halloween card to make sense, and then you'd be able to use them for Christmas, these bits for Christmas as well. I don't know. It's a bit complicated. But let us know in the comments what you think. Should we do these as printed cards? Maybe they're just art prints. I don't know. I mean, a lot of this stuff also, when we put stuff up on Patreon, we usually put pretty high-res images up there, so you could always run off and print your own as well. What's the feedback from the insane children there?
Positive. Hella Quinn #1. Oh, she's replying to something Priscilla said.
Priscilla says, do as a postcard for Halloween and the snowy one for Christmas, and then a huge print for the month of October.
Oh, we can't really make any bigger prints. We're kind of like at the maximum.
Maybe she just means just a big print. Don't know.
Gotcha.
We'll have to ask her, though.
Maybe.
When she says huge print.
But yeah, I can imagine, like, if we do those and doing them like a pack of 10 or something.
Exactly.
People can send them to their friends and whatnot.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Would be good.
All I know is that this
that is a great picture.
I mean,
it's kind of like a movie poster.
This is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. I showed this to Yen and I said, among the sets of makeup she's working on, because right now she's working on 2 box sets. Each box set has a palette of its own, right? So one is a palette inspired by the Harvest dress, that's the black one, and the other is a palette inspired by the classic dress, that's the blue and white color scheme. And I showed this to her and I said, you have to do this, a box set inspired by this. This is just so cool. Just this Alice as a witch. God, it's fantastic.
Those rusty nails pointing in at her.
It's funny, too, because this, like those card guards, like you said, this suggests a game unto its own.
It does.
This is like Alice goes into Harry Potter world and just F's the whole place up. It's great.
That is a fantastic image.
Yes, it is. Well, we're almost at our next giveaway time. So I have a question, or I have a suggestion for the thing you spam up the chat with. Imagine that this was an Alice movie. This was the poster for the Alice movie. Spam up the chat with what you would call that film. I mean, there's a lot going on here. These screws and card guards and magic. Sort of a lot. Halloween theme. So yeah.
What would you call the Alice film if this was the movie poster?
Exactly. It's a sort of dark magic Alice. I'm very curious to hear. Black magic Alice?
Alice Cadabra.
Ooh, that's actually pretty good. That's not bad, Font Lord. I'm amazed. It looks like he's got a card screwed into the top of his head there. That's painful. I would suggest something with these screws, but then I think it would end up in the adult DVD section of the shop, and we're not really into that. So
yeah, maybe not.
There's a lot of very cool elements though in this poster.
Alice in Witchland.
In Witchy Land.
The Witching Hour.
Alice in Hell.
Halloweird.
Alice Halloweird. Alice gets a pointy hat. I like that.
It does what it says on the tin.
Alice gets a pointy hat. Local witch starts a cult with deformed babies, says Big Mood. Alice Awakening. Cult of Wonderland. That's a pretty good one. Alice Dark Magic. Not bad. Embrace the Chaos. I like Cult of Wonderland. That's a pretty good one.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
not bad.
Sarah says, Alice in the Otherlands Black Magic.
Wonder Hell. The Velvet Wizard. It sounds weird, that one.
The Velvet Wizard? Yeah. It also sounds like something you'd find in the adult section of the shop.
Yeah, it's like euphemism for something I don't want to think about.
Exactly. Is that your Velvet Wizard, or are you just happy to see me? Yeah, this is pretty cool, though. So this is a Halloween poster. We do need to figure out what exactly we're going to do with this. Is it a card? Is it a poster? Personally, I would like to see this as the poster that we do in October.
Yeah.
And it goes...
And with that being the double month, it's an extra bargainful for people to get it.
What is the other print in that month?
We said it's just a really close-up of Cheshire's face. It's not very Halloween-y.
Right. Well, we are saying that in the month of October, you'll get 2 posters for the price of 1. This is probably going to be one of them. And then we'll need to figure out what the other one is. Of course, Omri and Alex may be like, no, we had planned for these to be cards. Stop screwing up our plans. So we'll have to figure out what that's going to be.
Spells of Alice.
Oh, the Wizard of Wonderland. That's a good one. And it's our good friend Super Bombastic Bubbling Plastic, of course, comes up with a very good Wizard of Wonderland.
That.
I like Wizard of Wonderland. Okay. Alice Black Magic. Alice All Hallows Eve. The Alice Epidemic. I'm not sure about that.
The Alice Epidemic.
That's an interesting... All right. Let's...
Shall we roll it?
Roll it here. Aerospace Kitten. At least Nightbot is choosing...
Someone else with a Chesh.
Yeah, so Aerospace Kitten, you have won the contest. That means you get your very own Cheshire Kitten. Now remember, it's just the Cheshire Kitten by itself. You're not going to get the bag or the patch or any of the other flumph that comes with this set. It's no just flump. You're getting a spare random stray kitten. So please do scroll down to the description below and read the details on how to claim this, and we will get that mailed out to you. You do have 24 hours to claim your prize. With
Alice Arcanum.
With that, I am going to quickly transition to sponsors.
Woo.
It's been a while. And you know, Freaky Fandoms was also kind of on vacation at the same time that we were. So
right.
That's good. So Freaky Fandoms is our largest and I guess you could say oldest sponsor. Is that right?
Longest? I'd say longest.
Longest, not oldest, but longest and biggest and bestest and of course our favorite sponsor. So this is Andrew and Deborah, our friends over at Freaky Fandoms. They do have a podcast which you can listen to. It's on a bunch of platforms like SoundCloud, iTunes.
All over the place.
All over the place. And of course they have a Patreon. So you got to go and click on the check us out on Patreon. They have been going around to a bunch of events out in the real world in the time where they were gone. And they sent along some pictures from... I think it's Monster Palooza is where they were. Mm-hmm. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right.
But I feel like it was also something called Son of Monster Palooza. Not sure. But so we got a couple of pictures. Here's Andrew, and he is with the director of the movie Phantasm. That was the one.
That's a phantasm ball.
It is a phantasm ball. Andrew's done up his hair. It's all curly now since the last time I saw him. Looks good, Andrew. So yeah, they were all over hanging out at Monster Palooza, and I think they went to something called Son of Monster Palooza. I'm not sure. But this is the director of Wishmaster. They got to meet all their favorite people from these various horror films. That's Deborah and Andrew with Heather Langenkamp.
What did Heather Langenkamp do?
I think she's the original girl from Nightmare on Elm Street, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, there is Ray Wise. Now, he's been in all kinds of things like, was it the Blue Velvet or Twin Peaks TV show? And he was also...
I know the face. I've seen him in a ton of stuff.
He's also in RoboCop. And so, yeah, there's been quite a few things that he's been in. So yeah, they were off at these kind of monster cons, these events. They go and they meet up with all of their favorite directors and actors from the world of horror and weirdness. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, go check out Freaky Fandoms. Give them some love.
Yeah, and of course they'd be able to tell you in better and more detail exactly where they went, who they met, and what kind of fun that was. So go check that out, freakyfandomspodcast.com. and they are on Patreon at patreon.com/freakyfandomspodcast. And of course, links to Freaky Fandoms are in the description below. And a big thank you to Andrew and Deborah. Again, you go over and support them. That's also helping to support us because they support us.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's great.
That
well
was
done.
Great. All righty.
People seem to be talking about a Cheshire lamp in the chat.
Let's hear about it. What is a Cheshire lamp?
I don't know. I don't even know how that started.
Maybe you can try to figure that out. There's a bunch of spam in the chat. What's a Cheshire lamp?
I mean, literally one-eyed skull just brought it up out of nowhere.
Well, if that's something they're genuinely interested in, they might want to write a little bit more of a description of that into the chat there, because otherwise we're not going to know what it is you're talking about.
We won't.
No, we won't. I did want to point out, did you know, you saw these cards that we sent out, I guess.
I saw the picture. Haven't seen it in the physical form yet.
I don't know that I can even make this load up. It's this problem with viewing PDFs, this kind of thing on the computer here. Anyway, this was anybody who recently got a Cheshire cat or a Cheshire kitten set via.
You're gonna spoil the surprise.
You don't want to show them?
I thought it might be a nice surprise, but we can show them.
All right, we're not going to show them. Now they're all going to be super curious. Anyway, we threw something special in to the package for everyone who's getting a Cheshire kitten. There is a special bit of magic thrown.
Getting the Cheshire kitten via the Patreon goal.
Via the Patreon goal. It has to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get it any other way, you're not going to get this thing, but it's a special magic thing that will bring magic into your life. So I was going to show it off, but Font Lord says no.
Hey, grumble.
Way to go, Font Lord.
Way to ruin it.
You just made it all horrible for everybody out there.
Made it weird.
Yeah, you did. All right, so we're going to head back into art review. I'm just going to do a really quick run through here, make sure we haven't missed anything. So we'll do that together. From the top, we have Bumpy in his shop. Creepy shop. I'm not sure why this is in there.
That is next month's print.
Oh, that's why it's in there.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them all about that? What do you mean by next month?
If you are a patron at the correct level, which is $75, or if that's going to be your third month at $35, the people who are charged at the beginning of October will be getting this print or get to choose this print. This is the next one that's coming up.
There you go.
There you go. I forget the name of this print. Is it? Oh, Alice Come Back. There it is.
Alice Come Back. Okay. Well, there you go.
There you go. That's why it's in your little folder.
So if you like that print and you want it printed out and sent to you, and I guess I'm going to sign it, then go do the Patreon thing.
Yeah.
Okay. This was makeup stuff. This got shared on my Instagram. If you are interested in the makeup stuff, I don't know yet if we're going to share a lot of this on Patreon. We still have to figure that out. But I am definitely sharing this on my Instagram and on the Mysterious page over on Facebook. And if you go to Mysterious, you can sign up for the mailing list. So that way, when we start actually selling this stuff, you could get notification for that. But I am trying to involve the audience in helping to select the type of design that we would go with for the box and stuff like that. So this is stuff that Ian's working on. This was yesterday on my Instagram, was this idea about the makeup brushes. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of great feedback and, stuff I wouldn't have thought of, like makeup artists of the world were saying, hey, these are really cool, but if you put these little knurly spike things on there, obviously they might be a little bit uncomfortable, but a more important point was brought up that they would be a pain in the butt to keep clean. Like if you use these as professional tools. And so I was really happy. I was like, wow, yeah, okay, yay for our really smart and talented fans who are interested in this kind of stuff for providing the kind of feedback that, like, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, that's why we get the feedback. Point stuff out that we don't know.
Yeah. Alrighty.
K-Max super chats with an actual question. Thank you for that. I was just curious to know, what mental illness do you think Alice has if she has one? I am a huge fan, by the way. So, yeah.
Well, I thank you for the super chat, K-Max. That's an interesting question. I don't think anybody's ever really asked it directly like that. What I'd say is, do people tend to categorize someone as suffering from PTSD as having a mental illness? I don't actually know the answer to that question. Now, you could be diagnosed with PTSD. Do you call it an illness? I'm not sure. So that's an interesting question. But for sure, in the game that we're working on now, Asylum, she is dealing with the fact that she's suffering through PTSD, and all of the things that go along with that could be depression, anger, rage, guilt, all of that, the emotional fallout of having lost her family. As far as something she might have been dealing with underlying or overlying that throughout the series or as a character, I just think she's just a normal person, a normal 13-year-old girl who happens to have encountered chaos on a level that I would hope that most of us might be able to avoid. But there you go. Thank you, K-Max, for the super chat.
Good question, though.
Looks like K-Max sent the same thing twice.
No, I'm a huge fan and an artist. I love drawing Alice fan art. Anyways, I was just curious to know what other...
She's retracted it.
Something.
All right.
Something about PTSD.
Any illness other than PTSD. But it looks like that's been retracted. So, yeah, I so as Dispel is saying, yeah, PTSD is in the DSMV. I think that you could diagnose her with that. Why am I hesitating on this? It's an interesting question, and I think I've discussed this in the past, like with EA and marketing, in wanting to be careful not to. How do I want to say this? I've never wanted to represent Alice as a crazy person. Mm-hmm. I've never wanted to represent her as in the real world. And I know it sounds unusual because she's in an asylum. We have artwork of her in a straitjacket. I believe that the situation she's in the asylum, though, is obviously one that in a modern era she wouldn't have been in because she would have been given appropriate treatment very early on. Like, oh my God, here's this child whose family has burnt down. So I'd say that in some respects she's more of a victim of the era in which she lives. But it's also one of the reasons why I've tried to stay away from too much exploration of the character as she relates to the asylum and the care, quote unquote, she's getting, and just try to keep it all inside of Wonderland. Because in Wonderland, she can affect change. In Wonderland, we can do something about it. In the era in which she lived, they just drilled holes in your head. So I think, yeah, it's one place where I've tried to avoid putting a clinical diagnosis on her because they didn't have a clinical diagnosis for these things in the time in which she lived. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay, there you go.
Logically, and like you said, just from a game/marketing perspective. I mean, would they want to say, "Here, play this game where you play as a nut bar"?
Exactly. I want to avoid that. And Baba Zuka Boy brings up a really good point here, which is that in that era, women would be categorized as hysterical. If you had hysteria, and if you were diagnosed with, or not even diagnosed, your husband would say, "My wife is hysterical." They would then take you down to the asylum, drug you up, and drill holes in your head. So I don't want a medical diagnosis for her in that era other than the one that says, right, she's in the asylum, now we need to get us ourselves into her head and we can play through this, right? So there you go.
Yeah. There you go. An actual question.
That was a big question.
It was.
This is the Christmas poster. There was a little bit of changes you can obviously see here in the details as we were refining that. This is a box layout for the makeup stuff. Now did we cover this in a live stream?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to also say no. We did cover it in a Patreon post.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. This is the place where you go that leads to the execution space, which is that Croquet, the playground. Right. Okay, that's good. Let's get into this really quick. So Omri came up with this idea of Alice going into the courthouse, and the idea here is that the judgmental side of her psyche has decided to judge her, right? And so he's drawn up this sort of Escher-inspired courthouse in which that side of Alice's, personality basically puts her on trial. And there's this theme of justice being blind, and there's no sense to what's going on here. Of course, this is a place that is in the Queen's domain, and it's sort of controlled by, it's an extension of the Queen in the way that she is. And so Alice goes in here. There'll be some sort of mock trial, and then Alice, along with everyone else who goes in the front door here, comes out the back door, and out the back door is you're sentenced to death by this vicious, explosive, deadly croquet game.
Death by croquet.
That doesn't sound so bad. And then when you get back there,
I sentence you to play croquet.
Well, but I wrote to Omri that I thought it would be really cute that young Alice would get it wrong. You would think that to play croquet, what if she calls it croquet, like right. It's to croak, Croquet. To die. And so croquet is what this place is. And so you go back there and like the croquet balls literally blow people up, and things are taking your limbs off left and right. So now I remember what that was all about. So the judgment that you receive in that building leads to the sentence of off with your head, except we're going to do it via you playing this vicious game of croquet that no one ever gets through, except in this instance, Alice will make her way through it. She'll survive the deadly croquet game.
Or will she?
The end. You died. Game over. So yeah, that's the croquet game. That's what this Hall of Injustice is all about. Now I think this is gorgeous. I love this building.
Is it mad enough? Is it too sensible in its construction? Other than the fact it's got massive birds on top of it. Well, the building itself.
It's meant to be sensible because it is judgment.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it is strict. It is rules. So I think it's right that it would be represented in this way. It's pretty messed up too, right? I mean,
it is.
It's not exactly a nice place.
They don't all have to be twisted spires of nonsense, I guess.
This is pretty cool, I think. It's pretty nonsensical. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It could be that there's a little bit more added to it. I'm curious to see what the inside of a place like this looks like. And
Red,
again,
apparently.
He's done a lot of the Escher themes here, so you could imagine that you walk in and then the whole thing twists in on itself and becomes something very unexpected. Beautiful space. Alrighty, so moving on. Now this is just a very rough overview of sort of Alice, the map, the zones she might move through. I believe this was meant to be the dungeon underneath the Queen's castle. So
the sungeon.
The sungeon. This was going to be that you broke into the castle. So remember, Alice enters into the realm, into anger. This is the realm of the Queen. And she's going to probably take part in some sort of an assault that is mounted on the castle. And along the way, she's going to pass through the various grounds around the castle and eventually get to the side of the castle. And I was thinking, she could just do a sort of classic sneak in through the basement type of thing. But down in this dungeon, I'm hoping that she'll encounter characters who have been captured and are being tortured by the Queen. Yeah, so... What was that?
Might be my feet.
Okay. So yeah, that's what this is. Just a little quick sketch, quick overview.
Couple of people in the chat. Looks like it's getting late for them. They're off to sleep or leaving. Insomniac Let's Player. And I saw another one.
All right.
Well, Motorcycle Girl falling asleep.
Good night, Motorcycle Girl. Good night, Insomniac. Good night. Yeah, we've only got about 10 minutes left in the stream here, so We're gonna get through the little bits of art, and then we're gonna do another giveaway, and then we are
do some comments maybe.
You better do those now.
Have we?
We're done
all the art.
Do it. Do the comments. We're back to pictures of babies and dogs.
Right. Let's blast through these. Samantha J. Sanders. Really enjoying all the updates we do. Loves the idea of the shrinking and carrying the places with her that we mentioned earlier in the stream.
Good.
This is something for you and your throat issue. Wendy J. Says acid reflux. Doctor told her the same thing and has to stay away from spicy food.
Yes, that's what I think.
Have you been doing that?
I have not eaten any spicy food. Life is very boring, and I want to die now. But my voice is it's a little bit painful after 2 hours of talking today, but it is much better than it was on the week where I had to cancel doing a live stream because it was so painful that day that I couldn't see straight.
It's not good.
No. Much better now, though. Thank you, Wendy.
Woo. Jacob Michael is basically saying everything looks great. Can't wait to see it all come together.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Lady Blackblade. What's this one about? Finally, I'm glad we're really getting into Shadow Alice. So I guess it's from the Discord chat. Because it's been bugging me a bit, not knowing how future Alice goes back to the past. At the end of Madness Returns, future Alice regains her sense of self, even if it's a bit broken, and the player then sees a semi-restored Wonderland to reflect this.
So what I would recommend for anybody who has questions about Shadow Alice, Future Alice, the story that we're working on for Alice Asylum is go check out this week's crowd design session because we spent a lot of time talking about that.
Not uploaded yet?
Not uploaded yet. It is in my inbox. Thank you to Asteria Visual for, as usual, capturing that and sending it along to us. But you could also, if you are interested, you could go over to Patreon and you will find that there is this. There was a breakdown in this post. This post is called... Where's the top of this post? It's a big one. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Here Comes the Sun. So go look for the post called Here Comes the Sun and then scroll through and you will find that I did a breakdown of the basic outline of the story for Asylum. Now, of course, if you don't want to see spoilers, don't go read that. But it does answer a little bit of the question that was just before.
If you're watching, there might be spoilers in this stream.
Oops. All right.
This super chat, now I understand, from Priscilla. Thank you for that. For the love of Satan, check the Chesh lamp in the Satanic Alice poster. That's where the lamp chat is coming from.
That's fine. I mean, I'm not sure why that wasn't just said.
Oh, no.
If somebody had just said, in that poster, look for that lamp so we can talk about it, we would have said, done, no problem. But thank you, Priscilla, for the super chat. Are they talking about this?
The pumpkin type thing?
I'm missing something. She says, for the love of Satan, check the Chesh lamp at the Satanic Alice poster.
I guess it's the thing at the bottom.
This.
I guess it has to be.
So what's the point? They want that made?
Apparently they like it.
They like it enough that they're super chatting about it. I don't understand. I got the sense that they want to see it made.
Yeah. Seems like it.
That's what China's for, but yeah.
Rachel Garza basically saying, love the witchy Alice and the mechanical card guards look neat.
Yeah, wait till you see the final poster there, Rachel.
Yeah. Here's one. It's a bit of an odd one because I checked Trinity Delirium and they have been a patron of ours for a while. Hiya, I had a question. Have you decided whether or not the first two games will be bundled with this one?
Yep, that's been talked about. We would like to do that. In fact, I think there's even a video on my YouTube channel which specifically addresses that question. So go check out my YouTube channel and look at the FAQ section and you'll find there's a video in there on that topic.
I'm going to aside from that and say that somebody patroned us, I forget who, that I checked, and they had also been with us for about a year and a half. And their question was something along the lines of, so, I guess EA is going to publish this, but please tell me there's going to be no loot boxes.
Yeah, well.
I'm like, you've been with us for a year and a half.
That's okay.
How can you not know the answer to this?
Yeah,
I answered him. I sent him to the FAQ YouTube video.
Look, we could do a whole live stream on the magic of people who, like, say, for instance, go to my Instagram. I'll write a very informative description for something that's going on, and then the very first comment will be a question which is directly answered in the first or second sentence of the thing on which they're commenting. So, I mean, I don't know.
People just get excited and comment before they've absorbed the information, perhaps.
Perhaps. So people are saying that they would like this lamp made. Okay. Well, I guess we could look into that, but it feels like something that isn't going to happen in time for Halloween. But for sure, it is something that could happen.
And depending on how big that was, that would be a chuff and a half to ship.
No, we do the little ones like we used to have here in the studio, the little Halloween pumpkins that were quite small.
Orange-sized?
I
see that as being like an actual pumpkin-sized lamp.
We could do it. I guess we'll look into it. I don't know.
Okay.
An odd one.
Well, Bryce Thompson says, mechanical card guard. Maybe we should have different card variations, which we have just shown off. Omri actually replied to him saying there are. Wait for it.
This is true.
Which you have now seen.
You have seen.
Bryce. Got another one here from Wendy J, and I don't want to curse it, but she said, I'm getting real sick of the Great Firewall being a pain in the ass. We just want to talk about video games. But did you notice that we hadn't dropped any frames up until 5 minutes ago?
Absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, there is this thing going on right now. It's this guy. This is the reason why our internet falls down all the time. This guy punches the routers and causes dropped frames. No, I'm just kidding.
He's in Sanya. I love Sanya.
So what's going on is the 70-year anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. And the Chinese are, I think, rightly proud of all of the accomplishments and the progress that they've made and how they've, pulled hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and built probably the world's most extensive and modern infrastructure when it comes to high-speed rail travel and all this kind of other stuff. But for some reason, they're clamping down on internet freedom during this celebration period. So screw you, internet.
And weirdly, we've had the least buffery, bestest VPN experience we've had in many a month.
It's very strange. I'm wondering if it's maybe because they've so successfully blocked so much of this external traffic that we're like one of the few cars on the road right now.
The ones that do get through have the entire highway to themselves.
It could be, but I blame this guy. He's apparently the 70-year-old bodybuilder who punches the internet in China. So, look, he's got like a weird armpit muscle there. Do people even have that? What's going on there, dude?
He's so buff, he's got muscles where muscles should not exist.
Crazy. So yeah, that's what's going on. 70 years
pole
celebration.
Dancing granny.
I'm not going to click on the pole dancing. I saw that out of the corner of my eye. I wasn't even going to mention it, Martin. But yeah, we don't really know what the hell. I don't understand it. I think China's a pretty great place, but I really don't understand why at the height of what should be this massive celebration for all the progress they've made, they deem it necessary to clamp down on internet freedom.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Go figure.
Alrighty.
Where did we get to? Midori Anzai. I'm sorry if this has been thrown out before, but it's an idea that's been bothering me since Madness Returns. What happened to Alice's rabbit doll? I don't think she ever got it back. What if the ending, the child and the shadow self are reunited when Alice finds and reclaims the rabbit?
Yeah, so I actually think we mentioned this before. The White Rabbit plush, which of course we made an actual little plush doll based on this, and you see it at the start of the Alice games. It's like turns to her and it's like, help us, Alice, you know. So I think we had mentioned before. Now, first of all, this is going to play an important role in Alice Asylum, where it'll be someone who you carry along with you and who's going to provide some kind of feedback and commentary throughout the adventure. And obviously we've said there's like using this as a hostage, like the queen takes him hostage and you have to free him and whatnot. I do think that it's possible that at the end of Asylum, we do see adult Alice sort of bringing the real version of this back and giving it to young Alice, and that is the trigger that sort of reintegrates the child with the adult.
Okay.
So we'll see. But yeah, that's a good link there. Possible
good
link.
One, Midori. Mm-hmm. See, Jane Moffat. I am new here. Hi. But glad to say I played Madness Returns about 5 times. I lost count. My significant other sent me the promotional video as one of my birthday presents. I spent hours reading through every possible link I could hit.
Wow.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jane.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to have you.
We do have a super chat. Ooh. Go for it.
Daniel Lindsley. Thank you for that. PDF carving template for the Cheshire lantern, please.
That is something we could probably ask our artists to do. What is with this? I've looked at this poster a lot, and I have to say it's not the most interesting of the things in the scene for me. Like if I had to have anything out of this, I'd like to have one of these like creepy dolls or something on my desk. I get a lot of the content in here is pretty sticky. I don't understand the freak out over the Cheshire lantern. Oh well.
What do we know?
We'll talk to the artists about producing a carving template for this pumpkin. That's kind of a fun idea. There you go. What else you got?
Stitching Witch. Kind of similar to what something was mentioned earlier. There is an original map concept for the map of Madness Returns in the art book that includes a snow globe world. And again, what if the stages are shrunken down into snow globes? A lot of the elements of the stages can be represented visually, and they don't always have white snow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's being chatted about.
There you go. All right, it is at the top of the hour. It is time for another giveaway. So what is going to be the question? Font Lord, it's your turn.
Let's see. What would you put inside a snow globe as the scene?
Okay. So do spam up the chat with your answer to the question of what would you put inside of a snow globe as the scene. And the winner will, of course, receive a Cheshire Kitten plush. It's a standalone, keep in mind. You're not getting the whole set. You're just getting the cat. He's by himself. He is a stray. He needs a home. He looks like this. There he is, Cheshire Kitten plush doll. He does have a tail. I noticed that we didn't do a very good job. I didn't do a good job in catching marketing videos of showing the fact that he's got a little tail. And I had a couple people on Instagram asking me, like, where's his tail? What's his tail look like? Anyway, so there's his tail. So in order to win this little standalone Cheshire Kitten, what's your question again?
If you were to make a snow globe, what scene would you put in it?
Right. I would do a scene. What would you do?
Well, I just had the mad idea. It doesn't have to be snow. I'm still thinking snow for Christmas. And maybe they've already done it. Maybe like somebody did like a Die Hard snow globe of the Nakatomi Plaza Tower. Maybe like Hans Gruber falling out of the window.
That's a cute one.
Shaking at the snow falling.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought was to do something cheeky like, one of these Johnny Depp movies where he's got a bunch of drugs around and maybe you shake it up and all the white dust flies around. I don't know,
Johnny Depp snow globe.
We're going to need a bigger boat. Snow globe.
Right. While everyone's hopefully spouting that, I don't know. Lady Blackblade super chats $2 and says nothing, but I don't think you can say anything at that level.
Sorry about
That's
that.
That's YouTube.
Lady.
That's not us.
Yes.
Priscilla Nasoma also super chats. Thank you. saying that everyone's liking the lamp, I guess, because there's no character like Chesh.
All right. This is true. Somebody wants a chest lamp. Okay. Right. So, chest lamp, Chesh lamp.
Big
Cheshire
old castle.
cat, a genie lamp, a Cheshire cat Halloween themed. I also want the print. I'm not sure what that means.
Ooh,
a tree.
Alice, but instead of snow, have tiny cards.
Well, I was going to say you could do Alice, but instead of snow, it's ash, right? So it's it's a picture of her in the scene with the burnt down house, and then there's ash floating around. So that'd be kind of depressing, but that kind of fits in with the theme.
A tree.
A tree, a cocoon.
That's a tree.
Of course, that is another thing. Somebody mentions here that the snow doesn't have to be white. It could be red, and so it could be bloody. Who knows? There could be all kinds of stuff going on. Cheshire cat in his lair. Sure.
Compass and a map.
A croquet map. Well, there you go. So there are the suggestions, and we are going to roll it in order to get our winner. So Kayla Wiggins.
Wow, it's been all new people this week.
I wonder if she's any relation to Ralph.
Maybe.
Anyway, so Kayla, you have won the contest. Congratulations. You are going to get your own little stray Cheshire kitten. And in order to do that, you do want to scroll down to the description below. There are instructions. You'll want to follow those, and you'll want to do that within the next 24 hours.
Please do.
Please do that. Let's wrap this up. So I don't think we have this thing up here that explains how to do the things.
That's right.
Let's just do that really quick. Yeah, everything's going along pretty well here. Like Instagram is growing, YouTube is growing, but we could always still use your support in terms of signing up to lists and whatnot. So there is a mailing list. If you sign up for that, we will occasionally spam you with the progress that we're making on the project and some of the special offers that we have going on.
Well, head over to AmericanMcGee.com to see this thing you're looking at now.
Ah, right. You can also follow me on all the social media platforms like Twitter, which makes me angry, and Facebook, which I barely use anymore except for marketing purposes, and Instagram, which I do kind of use a bit more, and of course YouTube, where we are right now. And then we are on Patreon. This is the place where our artists and our team are actually being powered by you, the fans. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month, but if you sign up for like $5 a month, you get Discord access. And then via Discord, you can join our crowd design sessions, and that means you can join in on helping to shape the design and the story of the new Alice game. And then we have a shop called Mysterious, and at Mysterious, there's all kinds of crazy stuff from clothing to wallets to art prints to plush toys to you name it. So if you wanted, you could go actually buy your very own Cheshire Kitten plush collector set over there. We've got the rabbit is up there as well.
Yep. Are we still selling Greg's junk?
I think I took Greg's junk out of the shop.
Oh, no.
We did a recent sort of cleanup effort
to
kind of make the shop look a little more professional. And and also, we did put the makeup there. So if you're curious about that, you can go click on it, and there's like a little sign up form that'll pop up. And so that way, here it is, email me when available. So you can type in your email address, and that way you can get some notifications about the makeup if you're interested in that. So
excellent.
There you go.
Lady Blackblade is back with a super chat. Adult Alice doesn't have her rabbit back from the doctor, I believe. Could she take the rabbit back from whoever has it if it isn't the doctor?
Well, yeah, I mean, she's murdered him, and I'm guessing she's going to have to return to that house where, he had all the children. And so it could be, those children were dicks. Maybe she goes back. I was going to say she goes back and she engages with them and sort of sets them free, which then makes her realize there's one last child to set free. But if it were me, I would go back to that house and punch all them in the face because they all were kind of unkind.
Use her mind powers to melt their brains. Yeah, take that.
Yeah. But actually, it could be we see that she's pushed him in front of the train, and then she makes her way back to that sort of home for orphaned children, which is where Bumby had his office and whatnot. And now she's going to like set them all free. So they all go flying off into the sunset. And then she realizes that there's one last child that she hasn't set free yet.
Who is it?
It's her. Yeah. And it could be that that's triggered by the recovery of her rabbit. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the super chat, Lady Blackblade. Do appreciate that. And I think we have come to the end of the what's not professional about Greg's junk. Alrighty. We love you all very much. Appreciate you joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks' time for another crowd design session and a live stream from the new and improved underground lair as usual.
Yeah.
If you got feedback, leave it in the comments below. And we will continue with the updates over on Patreon and, of course, across all the social media places.
Yeah. What he said.
There you go. Yeah, thank you very much.
See you soon.
Jib it up.
Get bent.
Get bent, governor.